Justin Trudeau staying on message or parroting lines? I'm Brian Lilly with TheRebel.media. All during George W. Bush's presidency, there were claims that Bush was just the front man. He was the face to Bush's brain, that being Karl Rove, of course. Now, I've never thought that about Justin Trudeau and the man behind him, Gerald Butts. I've thought of them as somewhat of a progressive dynamic duo, helping each other out with their strengths and weaknesses. But I'm starting to wonder about Trudeau. He held an end-of-session news conference and, despite speaking for 30 minutes, said very little, at least very little off of his message track of the day, which is that the Liberals are helping Canada's middle class. That was what he wanted to get across, and that is what he kept going back to. There were interesting questions, tough questions, and even one that caused for a bit of self-reflection, but Trudeau wasn't really biting on any of them. I get staying on message, I really do. It's important for politicians, especially when they want to get that particular message out that day or they're facing a hostile media. But Trudeau wasn't facing a hostile media. He was asked questions about, I'll give you some examples, the F-35 program and what we were going to replace the CF-18s with. Is it going to be an open competition? Is the F-35 out? You know what we got? Pablum.
Canadians expect our government to deliver the equipment that our Canadian forces need to keep Canadians safe and indeed to protect us while fulfilling our international commitments, and to do so in the right process and at the right price.
The same when Trudeau was asked to give tangible examples of how Canada is back and what Canada is doing. The Prime Minister ended up talking about how we're a strong member of NATO.
Give some examples of what tangible commitments Canada might be expected to make to prove that we're back.
Canada is a strong member of NATO, and I very much look forward to my visit in a few weeks, where we will have more to say about how we will continue to live up to our responsibilities and quite frankly, to the expectations that people have around Canada.
Canada was a strong member of NATO during the Harper years as well. Nothing much has changed there. We've been a strong member of NATO since the organization was founded in the 1940s. Again, Pablum. Then towards the end of the news conference comes the question that is, well, it calls for self-reflection. It's actually an interesting question. It came from Bruce Cheadle at the Canadian Press, who wanted Trudeau to give us an insight into what he's learned now that he's been Prime Minister through a full session of Parliament.
I'm wondering what you learned in your first 8 months. Were there any revelations?
You know, I've been focused since my very beginnings in Papineau on being a good MP, on listening to Canadians and serving the folks who've put me in this position to be able to deliver. And we've built a team of people very much focused on exactly that, on demonstrating that a thoughtful, responsible, value-driven group of people who come together to serve the country that they love so well in a positive and respectful way can very much achieve meaningful things for Canadians.
You don't need to hear all of that. Suffice to say, he just kept going on about helping the middle class and CPP and seniors and so on. Reporters were yelling at him. That was the last question, and reporters were yelling at him as he left. You haven't learned anything? Tell us something. But that wouldn't stick to the message of the day, so Trudeau walked off. Don't expect to find too much of this in the mainstream media. They are not ready yet to start questioning him in the way they would question Stephen Harper. Politicians have a knack for speaking for a long time without saying anything. Hello, Ralph Goodale, looking at you. But sometimes they do need to answer questions. For all his faults, Stephen Harper actually would give substantive answers to questions. You may not like the answer, but he would actually tell you what he thought or what he was attempting to do. In this case, Trudeau stayed on message. He was parroting lines written for him, delivering them like the actor that he is. He's good at that. It's just too bad he's not good at telling Canadians what's really going on with him and his government.
Thanks for watching. Click here to never miss a Rebel update. Want even more of The Rebel? Well, click here to become a premium member.